Now, members, before we start the meeting proper, there are a couple of things that I'd like to say. The first is that you'll need no reminding that this is the last time that we sit together as full council. We're at the end of our 4-year term, and the next time council meets, some of you won't be here, and there will be some new faces around the table. I just want to say thank you to all of you for all of your contributions over the last 4 years, and more personally for your support over the last 12 months while I've been mayor. So thank you very much indeed. And I wish those of you who are not joining us in May every success and fulfilment in whatever it is you're going to go on and do next. And those of you who are coming back, I look forward to working with you again. And I know some of you are in limbo at the moment because whether you come back or not will depend on the outcome of the election in South West. But I'm quietly optimistic about who will come back. We shall see. The second thing I want to do is, I'm sure none of you need to be reminded that sadly former councillor, mayor and freeman of the town, Ted Sherrill, died recently. And I would ask you to stand for a few moments of quiet reflection in memory of Ted. Thank you very much. I didn't know Ted very well. Obviously, he'd left the council before I joined. But from time to time, he would appear at my doorstep in Whitchurch, clutching a few books. And I now have a collection of Ted Sherrill books in my library. It was very difficult to say no when he offered to sell me a copy at a bargain discount price. I know that some of you knew Ted very, very well indeed and worked with him on the council and in other circumstances, and I do understand how highly regarded he still is, but certainly during his life was. I understand his funeral will take place at St Eustatius on the 21st of April at 2 p.m. I'm sure he's going to have a very splendid send-off. There will be a lot of people there, and I know that some of you are intending to go to the funeral, as I am myself. We shall miss Ted, but his memory will be with us for a very long time yet. So let's now move on to the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence.
We have an apology from Councillor Lewis, sir.
Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. To receive disclosures of unregistered or other interests. Are there any? Yes, Councillor Mrs Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Under the DMNL minutes, which is 7 little 2, 4365/22 and 0145/23 are both family members of mine.
Thank you. Are there any other declarations of interest? If not, then just a reminder that if you become aware of anything as we go through the agenda, please let us know immediately. Thank you. Item 3, minutes of the last meeting, which was a special meeting of council held on Tuesday the 21st of March. Are you happy that the minutes are an accurate account of what took place?
Agreed.
Thank you. All in favour, please show.
Carried.
Thank you. So those minutes are received. Are there any matters arising from those minutes not covered in today's agenda? Given the nature of the last meeting, if there are any matters arising, we may need to take them in part 2. Thank you very much. So moving on to items requiring a decision. Agenda item 5, General Finance, little a, Schedule of Payments. Do any of you have any questions or comments? (5B) Budget Monitoring Report. Again, do any of you have any questions or comments? Councillor Mrs Ewings.
Sorry, I have one question that I've tried to come in and ask earlier, and I've been away since last week, so I haven't been able to ask. I'm sure I remember going back end of last year that we put aside some money to buy 2 vehicles, and I think we've only bought 1. Is there pennies? Because I can't see the pennies anywhere, so I didn't know where to look for them.
Yes, you're quite right. Council agreed to purchase 2 vehicles, but they're from the earmarked reserves, and what you've got before you is the revenue expenditure account. But yes, 1 has been purchased. 1 is, I understand, being looked at the moment, and with a view to purchase very shortly. The other thing, if I may, Mr Mayor, a councillor did raise with me a couple of questions beforehand, and one thing which should be reflected in the report is on the second page under code number 4092, we reflect the contribution we make towards the payment of the town of the Guildhall toilets to West Devon Borough Council. As you know, they are in the process of being transferred to us. That is showing obviously as a very substantial overspend on budget, but please just be mindful of the fact that we do have a separate budget head which is for when those toilets come to us. So although there is an overspend on that budget head, it is more than accounted for by virtue of the balance which is available for when the toilets themselves come to us. So in reality that isn't an overspend, it's just that there's been a delay in the transfer and there is work taking place currently between the General Manager and West Devon Borough Council with a view to ascertaining the most appropriate way forward in terms of refurbishment prior to transfer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Is that under 4120 then? That is 26.
Yes.
Anything else? Okay. Item 6, Budget and Policy Committee. Councillor Harry Smith, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I rise to present the minutes of the Budget and Policy Committee held on Tuesday the 28th of March. 427, apologies for absence. 428, confirmation of minutes. 429, declaration of interest. And 430, neighbourhood plan.
Councillor Mrs Mann.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to bring members' attention to this item in particular because there was a really big report behind it. Section C of that report was one that dealt with the various risks that we face in delivering a neighbourhood plan, and I just want to remind everybody that there are some. The Tavistock Neighbourhood Development Plan has to follow a defined process. It has to keep to budget, deliver timelines, engage the community, prepare viable policies, and do so in a way that enhances rather than causes detriment to the Town Council. To that end, I remind members and everybody that's watching tonight's meeting that Tavistock's TAVI plan will eventually simply be a document containing clear and practical planning and land use policies supported by local residents that have a positive impact on local development. The TAVI plan was going to run alongside the joint local plan, which enters review in 2024, and that is the pressing reason why I asked for this to be considered by Budget and Policy and tonight's council, so that we have the ability to allow Tavistock to feed into that review with the interests, needs, and wishes of the Tavistock community. Still, the TAVI plan can't override national planning policy, so some things that may be desired can't be required. In addition, some community aspirations that we've documented aren't able to be turned into planning policy. These projects, like a new skate park, community land trust development, or historic preservation of the remains of Tavistock Abbey, are still worth supporting in the plan. That's because if the community's support for those projects is clear and the will to achieve the projects is present in the community, then the TAVI plan can document that and evidence that, which will assist the community in convincing grant organisations to fund the projects. There's good reason to be optimistic. I have provided members today with an updated spreadsheet, which is in front of you, showing that after 2 years, the Tavistock plan is under the original budget provided by the Council in 2021. At the end of March, the first draft of the planning policies based on the vision, aims and objectives, which we identified with the help of the Tavistock community, was produced, and it was produced exactly as scheduled with the project timeline. So for the last 2 years, the steering group has managed to follow the statutory process, keep to the budget, deliver to timelines, and successfully engage the community. And now we're considering our first set of viable planning policies. I'm extremely grateful to the members of the group who are responsive, committed, and creative, and to whom we should all extend thanks for their time, given voluntarily, towards this community effort. However, the TAVI plan will continue to evolve over the next months. We aren't across the finish line, which is why I asked for the item to be brought to Budget and Policy to Council. There are further requirements for evidence and consultation on policies themselves. There are multiple and various consultees, statutory consultees, who now must be consulted as part of the process. And, as I pointed out earlier, we have a very ambitious timeline if we want to feed the work we've been doing into the Joint Local Plan Review. There are also things out of our control that may offer challenges. So in principle, I hope that this council, and after the election, the next council, will continue to provide the support and resources necessary for our community to achieve the plan. And I, in turn, remain committed to doing my best to deliver, as chair, a plan that gives Tavistock a say on the future of development in the town. So with that, I would just ask that you support the recommendation, as the Budget and Policy Committee has also.
Thank you very much.
Mr Mayor, the recommendation on item 430 is that Tavistock Town Council endorse and approve the recommendation as included at para 3.2 of the report, namely the potential allocation of up to £18,971 from the localism budget 23-24 toward neighbourhood development plan costs, less any grants received and subject to applications being made for those grants as listed, subject to provider availability.
Thank you. We have a recommendation which has been moved. Do we have a seconder, please? We have several seconders. And will all those in favour please show?
Carried.
Thank you.
431, Betsy Grimble's Tower. Recommendation that Tavistock Town Council welcome the project A Future for Tavistock Abbey Remains and confirm its support in principle, I think it was, yeah, in principle for the development of a bid to NLHF, or HE, which is the National Lottery and Heritage England, or other relevant funders along the lines set out in Appendix 1 of the report. Mr Mayor, I move that recommendation.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder, please? Thank you. Do you wish to debate this recommendation or proceed straight to the vote?
Straight to a vote.
Okay, in which case, all in favour, please show.
Carried.
Mr Mayor, item 432, item circulated for information only. Energy consumption. Urgent business brought forward at discretion of the chairman. 433. Banking merchant account, and there's a recommendation that authority be granted for the establishment of a regular automatic transfer facility of residual balances from the merchant account to the active saver account. I move that recommendation.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Thank you. Are there any questions or debate? In which case, all in favour, please show.
Carried.
B on 433, debts write-off. The committee was requested to consider this item, and it does appear later on our agenda tonight. All the details are there. So it's just to be noted that it came to budget and policy. It did not, in normal circumstances, it would have been considered by budget and policy. And C is the extraordinary maintenance earmark reserve. I think this item was an additional item not on the distributed agenda, but as you can see from the preamble, it arose from our auditor's visit. It was, however, important that we discuss this matter, not least because of the impact it would have on the capital works we have planned for the financial year. Budget and policy are recommending the money held in this earmark reserve be transferred into the rolling capital programme and the reserve be discontinued. This action helps our officers progress our planned capital works. I'm particularly encouraged that funding will be available for the long-needed work to the Town Hall, hopefully. Having been present at the opening of the tenders and the discussion on pricing and technical returns with the architect, I'm hoping that the General Manager has some positive news for us when he presents his report under item 8.1.
Thank you.
So there is a recommendation.
There is a recommendation.
That the extraordinary maintenance earmark reserve be discontinued and the current balance transferred to the rolling capital programme to support emergency urgent works to council property. I move that recommendation.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Do you wish to ask any questions or debate the recommendation? In which case, all in favour, please show.
Carried.
Item D, Bannable Play Park. It's recommended that authority be granted to the General Manager in consultation with the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Acting Chairman of Budget and Policy to review consultation responses and then agree and commission the scheme to be progressed in a sum not exceeding £75,000. I move, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Thank you. Do you wish to ask any questions? Councillor Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to ask the question of regarding the on-site consultation tomorrow. When Wet in the Village Hall comes to mind. Is it likely to go ahead tomorrow? Because they're forecast to be high winds and loads of rain. And 90%. Is there an alternative?
General Manager.
If it's purely raining, then yes, it will go ahead. If we're going to make a call at about 11 o'clock,
11 o'clock, yeah.
And depending on sort of like the weather in regards to the wind, that's when we make the call really at 11 o'clock.
Do you mind advising councillors by email so that we can get the message to our residents?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
we would also put a social media post out,
yeah.
And signage on the gate as well.
Okay, thank you.
So we need to take a vote on the recommendation. If there are no further questions or comments, all in favour, please show. Thank you.
434, Mr. Mayor, was the exclusion of the press and public.
Thank you very much. We'll take the remainder of the minutes in part 2. So now we move on to item 7, Development, Management and Licensing Committee. Councillor Mrs. Mann.
Right, I rise to present the minutes from the meeting of the Development, Management and Licensing Committee from Monday, March 6th. 387, apologies for absence. 388, confirmation of minutes. 389, declarations of interest. 390, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 391, town planning issues. 392, general correspondence. 393, neighbourhood development plan. 394, urgent business brought forward. 395, planning decisions and applications. And B, we have a recommendation that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration. I move the recommendation.
Thank you very much. And the seconders, please. Are there any questions or comments?
And then 396 is the next meeting, so I will present the minutes of the meeting held on Monday, March 27th at 5:30. Minute number 417, apologies for absence. 418, confirmation of minutes. 419, declarations of interest. 420, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 421, town planning issues. 422, general correspondence. 423, neighbourhood development planning. 424, urgent business brought forward. 425, planning decisions. Little a, little b, there's a recommendation that the views of the town council, as listed in Appendix B, be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Thank you very much. That recommendation is moved. Seconder? And we didn't actually vote on the previous meeting.
Shall we vote on the previous meeting?
So
as well?
let's do the two together. All in favour, please show.
Carried twice.
Right, 426, next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. So we now move on to item 8. We're in items circulated for information only now. And 8 is service report, starting with the General Manager's report, which has been distributed. Hopefully you've all had a chance to look at it. Is there anything you wish to add, General Manager?
Not at this stage. I'll pick up any information in relation to Town Hall in item 15.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions for the General Manager, please? Have you got something wrong?
I haven't seen it.
Ah. It arrived yesterday, I think. Do you wish us to pause while you quickly scan it? Okay, thank you. In which case 8(2) Pannier Market report. Are there any questions regarding the Pannier Market report? Okay, Roman 3 Works Department report. And Roman 4 Town Hall and Butchers Hall report. Councillor Mrs Mann.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just wondered if we could have a copy of the new leaflet circulated to the councillors for the town hall. It says that there was a new brochure that has like the pricing that was created in-house. It would just be nice to see that, actually. I would have liked to see it.
Can we ask the Town Hall and Events Manager to do that? Thank you. Right. Item 9, Finance and Other Matters. To receive for information. A. Report of the Assistant to the Town Clerk. Is there anything you wish to add?
Thank you. Just if you've yet to respond to the event on the 24th of April, I'd be grateful if you could do so this week, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the ATTC, please? Okay. In that case, 9B, notes of the Town Hall and Markets Consultative Group meeting held on the 15th of March. Are there any questions relating to that? Okay, received. And 9C, notes of the Goose Fair Consultative Group meeting held on the 23rd of March. Received.
Right, I missed my moment, but on the Town Hall and Markets, it's reported that the project manager of the NDP attended that meeting, but it's actually the secretary. It was Stuart Honey, not Stuart Todd, that attended the Town Hall and Markets. So if that could just be corrected.
Okay, thank you. 9D, to receive any update from or questions to council representatives serving on outside bodies. Yes, Councillor Williamson.
Thank you. As you know, I'm not standing for the next event. It's not an election for most of you, but those of you who want to think about joining the BID, the Business Improvement District, I'm happy to give you any insight privately, that we need to find a member of the Town Council, if I may, Mr. Mayor, in the next term, who wants to be a part of that body. And it involves being registered at Companies House as a company's director. So if any of you want to do all of that, then I'm sure the bid would be delighted to have somebody with enthusiasm, let's put it at that, for what the bid is trying to achieve, to join the board. Obviously, I've now got to resign as director. I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe they just strike me off. I don't know. Which I'm looking for a rest.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for representing the council on the bid. If I might ask you a question, Councillor Williamson, would you recommend that the council's presence be a councillor who has business interests in the town? Do you think that's important?
It would be clearly beneficial to have an understanding of the commercial realities of running a business that has to report a full set of accounts and have a proper annual general meeting and deal with the various energetic expressions of interest that come internally within the board, which sometimes need a balancing judgment. And so, as diplomatically as I can put it, it needs somebody who can see the big picture and not the micro. You know, shopkeeper's wife is not what we need, if that is an expression I might be permission, or husband, is not what is needed on the bid board. It's somebody with a global macro view.
Okay, thank you very much. This will just be one of a number of positions that will need to be sorted out when we have our pre-annual meeting with the new council. Councillor Mrs Ewings.
Can I just ask Councillor Williamson, you represent West Devon and Tavistock Town Council, don't you?
No, I don't think so. I don't think West Devon Borough Council has invited me to represent them.
Because it used to be. Pardon? I'm not good at lip reading. I'll sit down.
Town Clerk.
Sorry, I was trying to indicate I'll pick that point up. Obviously not very well. The origins are, you're quite right, Councillor Ewings, when the bid company was originally established, there was a conversation between the Borough Council and the Town Council as to who an appropriate councillor representative might be. And at that time there was, I think probably what we would call an informal understanding and arrangement which was entered into, which was that the Borough Council was happy that it should be or could be, or the interests of the two councils could be represented by the Town Council. So that continues to be the situation as we have it today, although in practice the Borough Council have never given us any indication or instructions as to how they would wish us to vote or to exercise our vote within that. And of course, any director at the point they become elected cannot be directed by the organisation which nominated them. They have to act in the best interests of the board.
Okay, thank you. Roman 2 there, feedback from members following attendance at any training sessions. Is there any feedback? No. Okay. Oh, sorry, Mandy.
May I just ask, because I was a bit slow earlier, Mrs Smallcombe, do you know when you will be given dates for DALP training that come up after the election, please? So we can maybe look aside to try and set aside dates, etc., for our diaries.
I don't know what date they're going to provide them, but I obviously am looking at the website on a regular basis. We've got obviously, you're already aware of the 11th of July from the top of my report for your being a good councillor training.
Yes.
And we're looking at doing some cyber security training, but the date of that is to be agreed, possibly the 27th of June, but I've not had that confirmed yet.
There's also, I think, talked of joint training again for some of the planning issues with West Devon.
That was mentioned to us, but we haven't heard anything further on that.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'll find out because that's on my induction programme. Right.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 10, to receive such communications or reports as may be submitted by the town mayor. I don't have any. And I don't have any urgent matters, item 11, to bring before you either. In which
Mr Mayor,
case-
will you allow me to make a short personal statement at this point?
Yes, of course, Councillor Smith.
Thank you for that, Mr Mayor. There are parish councils which do a great job looking after a small number of residents and a small area. Then there is this parish council which looks after a large variety of provision within a large area and represents a large number of people. I, Mr Mayor, have sat in this chamber for a substantial number of debates, almost all of which have accompanied by reports. So I wish at this point to thank the officers, present and past, for their dedication and professionalism. Their advice to me, particularly when I have served as committee chairman, and especially during my 2 years as mayor, it was invaluable. What makes this council tick are its members. And over my 20 plus years, I've had the privilege of working with a varied and large number of different members. I want therefore to record my appreciation of members both past and present. I've been part of many decisions and know that they were right at the time the decision was taken. There will of course be many more decisions to be made by this council, and hopefully they will always be made with the benefit of the town at their core. And I thank you for that, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry. I certainly would echo your comments about our officers. I think we're incredibly fortunate to have such competent and dedicated officers. But I also want to thank you for the many years' service that you have given to this council. I have to say personally, I was very saddened when you told me that you weren't standing again. Fully understand your reasons. It's going to be very difficult to find someone else with your skills and expertise and experience. And so a huge thank you for all the years you've spent here.
Thank you.
I'm all shaken now. We have no reports from the County Councillor or any councillor from West Devon, and I understand this is in accordance with the requirements of PERDA?
Yes.
Okay. We now then move on to item 12. Mrs. Ewings. Thank you very much.